Ladies and gentlemen, we have conspiracy theories, coffee, and your mom if you brought her along, or your dad, whichever one you have still. I don't know. I'm not you. Morning murder and just coffee. Well, today we are covering bodies in the barrels, the Snowtown murders. Either or, they have two names. So, this dude got okay. There's okay. I got confused for a quick second. Bear with me. There's multiple people that did this. It's like Bunting, Wagner, Velasquez, and Hayden, which were Joe Justin Bunting, Robert Joe Wagner, and James Spyridon Velasquez. Cute. Anyways, Bunting got 11 life sentences without parole. Wagner got 10 life sentences without parole. Velasquez, 4 life sentences with a 20-year non-parole period. Hayden, 25 years with 18 years non-parole period. There's 12 victims in total between August 1992 and May of 1999. Pretty much in Australia, they were finally caught May 21st, 1999. Cool. So, let's get started. Okay, Hayden, the last one, was convicted of helping to dispose of the bodies. So, that's where he was. Most of the bodies were found in barrels and abandoned bank vault in Snowtown, South Australia. Hence the names given in the presence for the murders. Only one of the victims was killed in Snowtown itself, which is approximately 140 kilometers, 87 miles, if you didn't, north of Adelaide. And neither the 12 victims nor the 3 perpetrators were from the town. Although motivation for murders is unclear, the killers were led by Bunting to believe that the victims were pedophiles. Weak. I can't say the other word on here. It will give me horrible backlash. In some victims, the murders were preceded by torture and efforts were made to approximate victims' identities, social security papers, and bank accounts. Although initially, the notoriety of the murders led to short-term economic boost from tourists visiting Snowtown. It created a stigma with authorities considering a change of town's name and identity. The case has been in numerous of books, as well as multiple films. So, if you want to look into it, there's that. The perpetrators. Several individuals were involved in the murders. John Bunting, Robert Wagner, Mark Hayden were all charged with the killings. Additionally, James Velasquez pleading guilty to 4 murders and providing testimony in exchange for a lesser sentence. There were 7 other persons who had acted as accomplices in the murders or in disposal of the bodies. John Bunting I'm just going to say he had a horrible background. Age 22, he worked at what's the word I'm looking for? Butcher. There we go. He bragged about slaughtering the animals, saying that he enjoyed them most. Bunting moved to a house in South Australia in 91 and befriended his neighbors Mark Hayden and Robert Wagner. Robert Wagner now. Butning encouraged Wagner to assist in the various murders. James Spiridon Velasquez, along with his mother and half-brother, lived in Butning. He was gradually drawn into helping with the murders. He helped. Yep, nope. He was confessed in 2001 to 4 murders, including Johnson's, and became key witness for the Crown. Crown prosecutors are the public prosecutors in the legal system of Australia, so aka state. The details provided, supported by other evidence, helped to convict Butning and Wagner. Velasquez was sentenced in 2002 to a maximum of 26 years and was held in isolation in an unidentified prison. Elizabeth Harvey, Velasquez's mother, also known about the murders and didn't do nothing about it. Mark Hayden, an associate of Butning's, was initially the subject of suppression orders and stationary provisions providing publications, or could not therefore be identified for anything other than being an alleged perpetrator. We were talking about legal stuff. I was trying to say prosecutor and at the same time. My brain, you still when you work it, yeah. My brain, no brain. Yeah. Or maybe my words are not wording. Jodie Elliott, the sister of Hayden's wife, Elizabeth, was a woman with below-average intelligence who had become besotted with Butning. To receive her Social Security income, she pretended to be Susan Allen, a deceased former acquaintance of Butting's. Frederick Brooks, Elliott's son, was later killed by the group. So, let's get down to the business of the murders. First, coffee. The victims were chosen at random. Some victims were murdered on Butning's suspicion them of being a pedophile. So, let's get down to the murders. Some victims were chosen by Butning as being a pedophile based on evidence or rumors. Others were killed due to dislike of obese people, drug users because they were homosexual. A forensic psychologist said that he was incapable of empathizing with his victims. It showed that Butning was a psychopath killer who derived satisfaction from controlling his victims. Butning's victims were forced to call Butning God, Master, Chief Inspector, Lord, Sir. One of the above. During the murder, Butning had fashioned a rock spider wall, or a wall of spare rooms in his house. The charts, created using paper notes and wool, was an infinite web of names of people that he suspected as homosexual pedophiles. Butning would select a name from the wall and call them and threaten a person, insinuating they were pedophiles and would get what's coming to them. The victim's Social Security and bank details were often obtained so the murderers and their associates could impersonate the victims after their deaths and continue to collect their pensions. Although a total of $97,000 was collected in its way, it is not believed that Social Security fraud was the main motive for murders. Excuse me. The victims. Clinton Douglas, who was 20, was bashed to death with a shovel. August 31st, 1992. John accused Clinton of being a pedophile and referred to him in conversation as his murder as Happy Pants. Okay, cool. Clinton was found buried 2 years later after his murder in a shallow grave, August 16, 1994. Ray Allen Peter Davis, 26, was a disabled man, and 93 had essayed a child. Ex-girlfriend. Susan Allen, 47, was found buried at the Burton's house May 23rd, 1997, wrapped in 11 different plastic bags. Her death was concealed by a bounty and continued to collect her pension, claiming a total of 17 grand. Button claimed that she died of a heart attack, although law enforcement suspected that she was murdered when her relationship with the Button deteriorated. So, Michael Gardner, 19, transgender Australian woman who lived in a residence. A cousin of Wagner's wife. September 97. Yep, not covering that. Vanessa Lane, 42, was his ex-partner. Person was a pedophile. Or just say that. I'm not going to read the details. Thomas Eugenio Trevelyan, Lane's last partner, 18, suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, which led him to believe he was a soldier, so he always wore armed fatigues. From April to October 1997, they lived with Lane for a total of 5 months. Butner and Wagner helped kill her on November 4th, 1997. Gavin Allen Porter, Velasquez's friend, 29, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, who spent many years in a mental institution following the death of his mother in 1997, where he met Velasquez and moved in with him. Both Velasquez and Porter were heroin addicts. After Butning, Elizabeth, and her children, including Velasquez, moved to their place in 1997, Porter also moved with them. Bunting referred to Porter as a waste who no longer deserved to live. Troy Udy, 21, half-brother of Velasquez. Sexual aid person. Frederick Fred Robert Brooks, 18, son of Jody Elliott, who was a sister of Hayden's wife. Gary O'Dyer, 29, neighborhood of Butning, and was both mentally and physically disabled. Butning repeatedly called a homo. Yeah. So, Elizabeth Hayden, 37, Mark Hayden's wife, and Frederick Brooks' aunt. David Johnson, 24, and Velasquez's stepbrother. Investigation. Initially, the body of Clinton Trezesize was found in Lower Light in 94, although no connections to Button was made at this time. It was believed that bodies had been held in several locations in South Australia before moved to Snowtown in 99. Prosecutors believe that the killers moved the bodies after they became aware of ongoing police investigation. 2 more bodies were found buried in the backyard of Butning's house. Police later arrested and charged Butning, Wagner, and Mark Hayden on May 21, 1999 for the murders of Velasquez. Was arrested. On the May 26, 1999, at the time of the arrest, Velasquez lived in the Butning's home. Trials and verdicts. The trial lasted almost 12 months, the longest in the history of South Australia, in December 2003. Butning was convinced of committing 11 murders and Wagner 10 murders, in which he confessed to 3. Velasquez pled guilty to 4 of the murders in 2004. Hayden was convicted of 5 counts of assisting with the murders, of which he admitted 2. Brain. Ow. The jury did not come to a decision of the 2 murder charges against Hayden and the other charge of assisted murder, which the prosecutor indicated that she would seek a retrial of those charges. The final count against Butning and Wagner, that a murder in Susan Allen, was dropped on May 7, 2007, when a jury had been unable to reach a verdict. Butning was a ringleader and sentenced him to 11 consecutive terms of life imprisonment without possibility, released on parole. Wagner was sentenced to 10 consecutive terms under the same condition as the sentence he stated from the dock. Pedophiles were doing terrible things to children. The authorities didn't do anything about it. I decided to take action. I took action. Thank you. Velasquez was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences with a non-parole period of 26 years, and Hayden was sentenced to 25 years with non-parole period of 18 years. More than 250 suppressants ordered prevented publicity of details in the case. In early 2011, a judge lifted the remaining orders in response to a request by the prosecutors of the film Snowtown. So the aftermath. As of 2012, one shop in Snowtown was selling souvenirs of the murders, cashing in on Snowtown's unfortunate issues. The house where the Butning lived and buried two bodies were demolished by its owner. The other place in Marion Bridge had been sold. The bank, the four-bedroom attachment house, was placed on auction after holding an open house which raised $700 of charity through changing the entrance fee. The property sold later in the year on September 27th for just over $185,000, with new owners indicating that live running business from the bank. Since the murders, the small farming town has become a grim destination for tourists seeking to explore the dark stories associated with the crimes. So, there you go. Couldn't put a lot of them in a lot of detail and information in this story due to it being not proper and would not be good for here or YouTube. So, enjoy.